Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. We've got Zed Jelani on. We've got Professor Richard Wolff on to talk about what he expects the impact of the relief bill will be. We also have Governor Jim Justice on of West Virginia. Lots to talk to him about. They've done a very effective job with their vaccine rollout. He's also had some pretty tough criticism of Senator Joe Manchin from the left, though, weirdly, so we'll talk to him. But we wanted to start with the very latest as calls grow for Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign.
The dam really broke in terms of institutional calls for Governor Cuomo to resign, especially from within his own home state. So Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Chuck Schumer, and other New York political leaders, weirdly, they left Kirsten Gillibrand out of the headline there. So both United States senators from the state of New York and AOC, as well as Congressman Jamal Bowman, let's throw that next one up there on the screen, all put out a joint statement. So AOC and Bowman put out a statement, then Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand put out a joint statement. New York City Mayor de Blasio also came out and called for the governor to resign. So
Jerry Nadler, Mondaire Jones.
I mean, it is just an absolute slew of who's who in New York City New York State national politics, all coming out saying they have completely lost faith in the governor. And amidst all of this, a absolutely crazy picture emerged from Governor Cuomo himself. Let's put this up there. Apparently Fox spotted him walking around on the governor's mansion in a blanket, drinking a beer. I almost feel sorry for the guy. Almost feel sorry for the guy. That's a forlorn place to be. I know from personal experience. But, you know, if you think about it, Krystal, this is kind of what we were waiting for. I still don't think he's going to resign. I think he'll probably survive much of this. But having Chuck Schumer out there, the Senate majority leader saying that you have to go, and senator from your home state, that's as big as it gets in terms of New York state politics, saying you got to go, plus everybody else. At the very least, he's very likely to have some sort of impeachment action against him, which we'll talk a little bit about. And in New York, people need to know, once you're impeached, you lose your powers as governor as they await your fate before, you know, that action finally comes to a vote. So this could be headed for a very significant place.
Yeah, I mean, look, whether he's not going to resign, he said, and I think it's highly unlikely that he resigns, just knowing his personality, which, I mean, he's basically like a Democratic Trump, truly.
Yeah, he is.
They operate with the same, like, political playbook and same type of, like, bullying, abusive tactics. Like, they're basically the same person, just one's a Democrat and one's a Republican. They lie with no compunction, all of that stuff. I don't think he's going to resign. Impeachment, it's actually very much in doubt, and here's why. Democrats have overwhelming control of the legislature, but their rule that they abide by is they don't move anything forward unless they have a majority of Democrats. So even though Republicans are basically all on board with impeachment, if you put them together, you've got the numbers. Democrats don't yet have a majority of their own caucus in the New York State Assembly to move impeachment forward. So what is Cuomo betting on here? He's betting that he can run out the clock, that he can say, let's have the investigations, let's let some time pass so that this is less hot in the news cycle. We've seen, again, this very Trumpian playbook. This is what Governor Ralph Northam did in Virginia in order to ride out when he was having his blackface allegations and all of that coming crashing down around him. He is betting on Cuomo, that if he just lets some time pass, then people will get over it and move on. Now, clearly the New York delegation has completely turned against him. Jerry Nadler, Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, all of the, AOC and Jamal Bowman, all of the squad members, Mondaire Jones. But he is getting some cover from the national level. Let's start with Nancy Pelosi, because again, what does he want? He wants time to pass.
Yes.
He wants to be able to say, let's let the investigations play out and then see where we are. Well, that's exactly what Nancy Pelosi is advocating for. Let's take a listen.
No tolerance. No tolerance, and this is a subject very near and dear to my heart. This is no tolerance for sexual harassment. Let the world know that.
But you're not calling on him to resign right now?
I think we should see the results of the, but he may decide. And hopefully this result will be soon. And what I'm saying is the governor should look inside his heart. He loves New York, to see if he can govern effectively.
So you see what she's trying to do there. She's trying to draw a hard line. Oh, this is terrible. Of course, I'm very concerned. But let's let the investigation play out, which, again, is exactly what Cuomo wants. All he wants is time so that hopefully the news cycle will move on. people will move on, and then less pressure will be on him. Oh, and guess who else is giving him that cover? One President Biden. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Mr. President, do you think Governor Andrew Cuomo should resign?
I think the investigation is underway, and we should see what it brings us.
Investigation is underway. Let's see where it brings us. So again, let the clock run. Let the time expire. Let's see what happens. So it's a way to seem like you're taking it seriously while actually giving Governor Cuomo exactly what he wants.
No, he is giving what he wants. And this is actually what the key to understand is they need to rock. They need to basically ride out the clock. Just one news cycle, and then they're good to go. They know this. And having the New York delegation really step in there, I do think it will hobble him effectively for the remainder of his time, whether he does impeachment or not.
For sure.
So, and that's the thing is, so let's put this AP story up there on the screen about how exactly impeachment could play out. Like you said, whether they get a majority of the Democrats or not is very, very much in the air. And you have, I mean, whether who exactly is on the record or not is up to dispute, especially in terms of the numbers. Ron Kim has indicated that he's moving forward, trying to get more people on board. The Assemblyman, we've had him here on the show, and he's consistently been saying, hey, just so you all know, I'm not going to stop regardless of what's happening here. He's like, if he doesn't resign, I'll be waiting to impeach him here right in the House, which I love. I love that guy. But it's fascinating, again, though, Krystal, what is missing from this entire conversation? Nursing homes. Mm-hmm. I think credit to AOC. She actually acknowledged it in her statement.
Yeah.
And Jamal Bowman. But that was not acknowledged by any of these different polls, especially when when Biden talks about an investigation. Is he talking about a federal investigation into nursing homes or these sexual harassment allegations? Guess which one's a lot easier to prove and, frankly, a lot more damning in the public eye, directly related to your job? The nursing home scandal. And it's just been memory hold by the mainstream media whenever we talk about this issue. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, it should have been enough that he corruptly put this liability shield in place, that he made this terrible decision, and then he covers it up. And look, you don't need another. We already had that investigation.
Yeah,
I mean, the AG report on that is already out. We already know the facts around how they hid and covered up the fact that they had a large number of nursing home deaths. They hid that number by like 50%. They cut it down. The cover up alone should have been enough for people to say, this guy's got to go. But it was silence. When that initial information came out, no one was calling on him to very few, I shouldn't say, probably Ron Kim was out there. He's been out there from the beginning. There have been a few. But from a national perspective, no one was saying anything until these women came out. And let me say, look, the allegations here range from really uncomfortable comments, creepy comments, all the way to what would be considered sexual assault. And that, by the way, has been referred to the police in New York for investigation. And I think that those things on their own are also cause for his resignation. But I don't know why that's put above killing grandma, basically. Like, through your negligence, thousands of people dying and you covering it up and lying about it because you were worried about not only the political implications, but potentially the legal ramifications here. That on its own should be enough. And it is really weird how that part gets so little attention compared to the other allegations.
Yeah, and in just another, point in the feather in the cap of blue MAGA, this is great. Let's put this up there on the screen, which is that the New York vaccine czar apparently called state officials to, quote, gauge their loyalty to Cuomo. So what does vaccines exactly have to do with the sexual harassment story or even the nursing home one? Yeah, absolutely nothing. It's just like, once again, he's trying to exert all of his political machinery control through the New York State Democratic apparatus, because now what I bet he's betting on is he's betting on, if I can just vaccinate everybody, ride out this news cycle, people will forget, the economy's going to be booming, and then I'll remain in the governor's mansion for a couple more years and we can just move this thing along. But yeah, there it is. Like, he's using his machine. What the New York vaccine czar should be apolitical. If there's ever going to be anything that should be apolitical in state government, that's what it should be. Calling people for loyalty, it's totally crazy. It just shows you how much of a control freak and machine politician he is.
It's really actually very dark because, first of all, the fact that you brought brought this guy in to be your vaccine czar, who's a longtime aide and advisor and close pal of you. And then when you're under fire, he's calling these county executives, asking them for their support. The implication here, when you're the vaccine czar saying, hey, you're going to stand by my guy, Governor Cuomo, the implication is, I could mess with how many vaccines you're getting to your county. Maybe I slow down the process here. None of that said explicitly. But what do you think the implication is when it's the vaccine czar calling you? And in some of these conversations that were reported, both topics were discussed one after another. Number one, hey, do you support my guy? Number two, how about those vaccines? How is that vaccine rollout going? How many do you need? This is really, really dark, corrupt stuff. And again, exactly the type of playbook that Donald Trump would use.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's a great irony here is back when Democrats and especially the media wanted this foil for Donald Trump, they're happy to hold up Governor Cuomo. And again, it's not like they didn't know how this guy behaves. Anyone who's worked in New York, anyone who knows anyone who's worked in that office knew this guy was a bully. They knew, look, the Moreland Commission, this guy has also had allegations, very serious allegations of corruption against him. Some of his top aides, one of his top aides ended up in prison for corruption. None of this was a secret. Right? It was not a secret how this man behaved and how he operated, but they chose to ignore all that, completely gloss over it, and it's only now, number one, that Trump is gone, and also that these sexual harassment and assault allegations come out that anyone actually cared about it.
No, that's exactly right.
All right, our radars, that's next.